Yeah, there's not many of you, but we'll do a bit of it. Right, we're Commando. We're Royal Navy Commando. The reason it's called Commando is because everybody in the Royal Navy Commandos had a letter starting from A to W. W was Canadian, the rest were all British. From the Atlantis, that was the letter you had, P wore blue, and then from like F Commando they wore white. So the Royal Navy, they didn't have a commando unit. In 1942 they realised that people like the Royal Marine Commandos and the Army Commandos were doing raids and they were going wrong. For example, like the DF raid, a lot of guys got killed on the landing. So they basically proposed a plan towards Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill agreed that who is better at taking a beachhead than the Royal Navy, because they know most about it. So the Royal Navy Commandos were formed. Originally Royal Navy beach landing parties, and then they turned into the Royal Navy Commandos, or for short the RNC. All split up into units from A to W, and when they first started, in 1942, the war was already going, we had all the leftovers. So we had things like the World War I SMLE, we had Vickers machine guns, you've seen them on films with a big drum mag on the top and things like that. But as the war went on and as we were formed, the Royal Navy Commandos were quite known for robbing everything. They'd go through army camps for training, and also we'd have beachheads to defend. So as these people are coming up to the beachhead, if you've seen a nice little bit of kit, you thought that would be more practical in my hands than a bit of World War I kit, then you might acquire it. So hence why we've got a lot of firepower on display today, and we're going to fire a bit of it as well here. So at first we're going to talk about Mr. Clapworthy by here. He's going to go through the number 4.
This is the number 4, the Enfield 303. This one in particular is actually called T, number 4T, telescopic. That's a telescopic sight. This sight, there are 2 sights for these. One was the number 53, one was the 55. This is number 53. So this one hasn't got the elevation and windage adjustments. This was a fixed scope which normally come off an artillery piece. 3 times zoom. 303 round. Very devastating. The M1907 sling, which was used by the Americans, which were always used on the sniper rifles for the British because they were very good marksman slings. You could actually adjust it to move it down to make it clamp onto your arm to give you a nice, good, solid, so you give you a nice, good shot down range. But yeah, that one, this particular one was 1944. And a cheek piece, yes. Cheek piece is there, obviously, because normally the back sight would be around this sort of area, which they would cut off, put the scope on.
Hello.
So that's been cut off. So this piece we put on, to elevate the cheek up, make it eye meet.
What's my
sight. Hold 10 rounds, could get 11.
Well, that's all.
10 rounds in the magazine, one of them.
We're in the ironworks, the army thing.
So
Where are you?
Confuse the Germans, thinking, right, he's out of ammunition, it's 10 rounds. No. Stick his head up.
Oh, right. Do you want to come?
Yeah, that's the 303 number 4.
Alright,
as you notice as well, some of us are wearing.
Well, we're taking the back about 8 o'clock.
Obviously, commando units wear
What
green
queue is
berets.
supposed to come in?
Unfortunately, some of the guys
So
that were later on
I don't know what time.
with the Royal Navy Commandos didn't acquire the green beret. They were issued one. They were just issued
So where are you now? What's our
mark of honour. But as you notice, we've got a bit of different headdress going on. Mine's a petty officer's cap. We've got a Hawk by sailor's cap. We've got the classic green beret. The RNC were known.
Yeah, they've gone off in this building.
They were in front of.
We haven't gone. We haven't gone. We haven't gone in.
And if they were in front of the Royal Navy, we'd put the green beret on, because we'd go way different. We're commanders. They were a bit like that. They were a bit. The guys from the RNC, when they were first formed, they were all guys off ships. They were all guys serving in the Navy already. A lot of them had a lot of years of service behind them. This isn't the rank of a sergeant, by the way, it's a petty officer. It's 30 years of service. So a lot of guys that have a lot of years of service behind them, they were all guys that were stokers and things like that on ships. Youngsters, some of them, and a lot of them fancied a bit of mischief. They volunteer, they go, yeah, okay, yeah, that sounds good, I'll go and join the Commando. Unfortunately, by 1942, Hitler had already given the ultimate sad order towards the Commandos that Commandos would be shot on sight. So volunteering to be a Commando, you already had a bit of a death wish, because if you were caught, you weren't going to make it to a prisoner of war camp. So they had all this sort of thing going on. They were young, they were a bit nuts, really. You have to be a bit nuts to do it, to go onto a beach, to, you know, if you've seen Saving Private Ryan, and you see Tom Hanks running up the beach and all that kind of stuff, what they don't show is, before he gets onto the beach, the Royal Navy Commandos are there. And in fact, on that beach, they're dressed as Americans. They were on every beach at D-Day, and a lot of people don't know that. So we're going to go on to another weapon now. Mr. Thomas by here is going to take you through the Thompson. Right, so this is the M1A1 Thompson. At the beginning, or like I said, it was either beg, borrow or steal what you could get. Now the British Army were using for a long time the big Thompson from the gangster film with the 100 round magazines and all that kind of stuff. Something that I'd love because I'm quite trigger happy, right? As all the boys know. They'd be 100 rounds gone. So they were using that. The Home Guard were issued with it, all that kind of thing, right? And then when the Yanks come into the war, because we all know they were late, right? They issued to their own men, they converted it. They needed a more practical approach than a 100 round magazine, because you know what GIs are like, we've all seen the war films, they'll go mad. So they took a different approach and they made it into stick mag. They've got 30 round mags, which is on the Thompson up there, and they made a shorter 20 round mag. There was a rarity in places like the Pacific, it's still using the double mags because they're cold. So they come out with the M1A one, all slightly different. Here's on the side, not on the top, and the grips are slightly different. It was basically mass machined, like we did with things like the Sten and things like that. They adopted a version of it off the British. The older Thompson was more handmade. It was very, very expensive to make. It was something, you're talking a lot more money. Even that Thompson there, to give you an idea how much it was, I believe it was the same price as a brand new car out of the Ford factory at the time. Okay, so we're going to give you a fire of that.
Got rid of them anyway.
That one's a 9mm fire, that one is. There was one at 12 made back in the 60s. It's quite a rare piece to have fire in. They normally fire a 45, so they're normally a bit louder than that. It was converted and altered for reenacting purposes and it doesn't fire live anymore.
That was 9mm.
But yeah, that was 9mm, but she's original and she was converted for reenacting. So next thing, Mr. Thomas Bale goes through the Sten with it.
Yeah? Okay, can I do the pink thing first? Sten Mark II. These are an honest weapon in that it is basically pressed and stamped metal, and as you can see, just welded in spots in areas. They didn't even bother welding the whole way. It is a tube, it is a bolt, which is the only mill part, a spring, trigger assembly, done. This comes off, it doesn't make a blind bit of difference. We were paying, I think it was $213 on the lending system for the Thompson, and these cost us $13 to make. So that's quality, and this is quantity. What's the best gun? The one that you can actually get on the battlefield. Yeah, there's not a lot to them, it's fit and sawdust. They're not the safest weapon in the world. In order to make it safe, here, you have to cock it, which is pretty crazy. By the same token, if I have 600 rounds a minute, and this charger goes back and forth at a rate of knots, if you hold it there, your finger's coming off. If you hold it there, your finger's coming off. So you basically hold it on the magazine, without touching the magazine release. It really is a bit of a beast. And I'll pass it over to Gareth now, just to run a few rounds. Its reputation for jamming, well, we'll see, shall we? Can you all cross your fingers?
Will it work?
Yeah, we don't know. Ready when you are, girl. That looks like a jam.
Well, it did work.
Got 3 out of
It
it.
did work.
Oh well, good try. As you can see, tell by that, barrel changes, they used to do in about 7-8 seconds while under fire. They'll be firing again in 7-8 seconds. So you'd actually have a guy, the gunner, would be ready. You'd have a guy this side, a guy that side. As soon as the magazine was spent, the gunner would take the magazine out. The chap on this side would release the catch, remove the barrel. The chap on this side would put a new barrel in. The gunner would be there, ready and waiting with a new magazine. As soon as the barrel went in, bang, this one stripped cots and dry fires as well. And away to go. You'll notice that the sight is actually on the left-hand side of the barrel. This is because you've got this dirty crate magazine in the way. So with the Mark I, they used the front sight and the rear dial sight. And that the range is up to 2,000 yards, believe it or not. They also used to use these on anti-aircraft with a tripod. And Royal Naval Commando stations, beach stations, you'd like to have one of these either end, so any aircraft you could actually have a pop at. You would use the 100-round drum mag over there, and this rear grip handle. So, and there's a brass catching case which is also over there to catch any brass because it's up quite high, and you'd be using it by the rear angle like that. Ideally, like I said, 2 stationed on every section really. This one doesn't fire, unfortunately. Believe it or not, if you live in America, you can get a live firing one of these off the shelf. But thankfully you can't here. I think it's a good idea. But that 600 rounds a minute, believe it or not, exactly the same as the stem. But this one would be accurate 303 rounds. A hell of a lot of stopping power. 22.8 pounds. And can you imagine on D-Day being in this thick woolen uniform with 30 pounds of webbing plus ammo, carrying one of these and jumping into the water? A different breed of people. I couldn't do it. I couldn't get anywhere near that. But these people did do it. And I'm lucky enough to be talking to you guys because they did it. Thanks very much.
So, I mean, the reason why we always sort of get the whole, I didn't know Royal Navy did Commandos. They were known as the Forgotten, and they still are today. Sadly, they were formed in 42, and by about 45 the Royal Navy had already decided it was the end of them. They didn't want them anymore. They didn't like the idea of sailors running around in army uniforms for staff. And they used to be able to no good nicking everything. But it was mainly as well after 1944, the Royal Navy Commandos taking beaches, especially Commando, took so many losses that they were, after D-Day, they were moved into other units, such as J Commando and F. And then by about 46 then, the Royal Navy sort of said, right, can it? We don't need you guys anymore. So sadly, they no longer exist. They're known as the Forgotten Commandos. The only guys now in Royal Navy that do commando training, I believe, are chaplains and surgeons. There's no frontline commando unit in the Royal Navy anymore. On the rack, you can see as well that there is some odds. We've got a Russian in the gap here, and we've got a German MP40. During training, Enstall They didn't nick anything they could. They were also trained. They were one of the only units trained on foreign firepower, because the idea was that if you got to a beach and you had something like the Sten that's amazing and fired like a dream up there, okay, if something like that happened, you could ditch your Sten and find something German, and you'd know how to work it. You'd know how to strip it. You'd know how to keep it going. As far as small arms goes, you've all seen the classic British Webley revolver. Commandos didn't really like them because it was 6 shots and that was it. So when the Americans came into the war, they loved these. Okay, called 1911s. Okay, they had a 45 stopping point of 45. This one's a blank firer. She won't be firing today. And then there was also later on then the Browning high power come out, and it's the same sort of design, semi-automatic. Commandos absolutely loved them. Again, they either acquire them off American units. They were never issued. Things like that. Officers were normally issued with Webleys, but then by the end of the war, I mean, photos we've got, there's even officers carrying Lugers, German sidearms and things like that. They were a bit of an odd bunch. Apart from firepower, they were trained on the tubing by the side there, mock Bangalores. Okay, Bangalore torpedoes. If you've seen Saving Private Ryan, they use them to clear the wire and things like that. They weren't just trained in hand-to-hand combat and fighting and shooting and all that kind of stuff. They were also there to do a job. Last in, first out. That was their motto. They would, when they landed on the beach, as soon as they landed on the beach, not only were they fighting, but they were working as well. Royal Navy Commandos, everybody, not just an officer, would carry a sidearm. And the idea was that if you needed to ditch your weapon, you still had a sidearm on you, because you'd be doing things like marking for mines, because the engineers would be coming in after you, so you want to make sure that the next wave coming in isn't going to stand on a mine and blow themselves up. So you'd be marking for mines, you'd be clearing tank traps. You'd also be doing, if you look at the sign there, there'd be signs like that or down the beach either side, and that is us basically saying to the next landing craft, it's safe by here. We're holding our ground coming in, because everywhere else we don't know, we haven't checked it. There might be mines there, there might be an odd couple of German. Okay? So we like to end on a bang, and one of our little toys that we like using in a reenactment is one of our blank firing grenades. So Mr. Clapworthy, if you'd be my guest. No problem. We're Commando RN Reenactment Society, guys, if you want to add us on Facebook. Book us for bar mitzvahs or anything else. Yeah, we do the lot, we do anything. It don't matter. And we're free, it's great. And we're always looking for new recruits as well. And in the Royal Navy, you get to grow a beard, it's great. Carry on, Mr. Clapworthy. Out the way, lads.
Go on, give him a shot.
Run, run. You will definitely have a shot.
Run. Run, Forrest, run.
Grenade out. Thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure.